I'm Gedalia. I'm 62 years old. I live in San Francisco, and I'm an activities therapist working with older adults. It's a miracle that I'm living in San Francisco. It's one of the most expensive cities in the United States. I have this job, and I have this apartment, which is rent control. If there wasn't rent control, forget it. I wouldn't be able to live in this town. I injured my wrist about in 2003. I was a professional massage therapist, and I was doing extra shifts, trying to make extra money to go back to see my dad, who was in a coma. And so I went back to be with my dad, and I got to see him before he died. But that was the beginning of my wrist problem, and I think it was the end of my massage career, which I had been doing for over 20 years. After I came back to San Francisco, I actually broke my wrist, and I realized how vulnerable I was. That, my God, if I fall again, another break, I could be out of a job, I could lose my apartment, I could become a disabled person. I'd say this experience has changed my life. I've had two breaks, two major breaks. I guess I'm one break away from possibly not being able to work again. I'm committed to being healthy, and I don't have a car. I walk all over the city, try to make sure that in every way that I'm going to be able to take care of myself as I get older. When I get a paycheck, I know exactly how much I'm earning, and I keep very tight records of every penny that I spend. I save all my receipts. At the end of the day, I tally them up, and I have a ledger pad where I've got all my categories. Well, it's a way of life for me. It has to be, because I'm living in such insecure economic times. This is how I survive in it. I'm afraid what's happening in San Francisco is that the older people and the less franchised people are going to be driven out and have to go somewhere cheaper. And I don't know where I would go, but that's usually what happens when money takes over a city, and it makes it impossible for lower income people to survive. If I didn't have the spending plan that I had and the tools that I used to keep my finances under control, I could be out there on the streets with the homeless people. I'm a paycheck or two away from being there, and that doesn't make me feel very secure. Addressing the needs of older Americans is important to every citizen, because you're going to be old someday. And don't forget it. If you're lucky enough to be old, you want to make sure that you have the quality of life that you want. Everybody has a parent, and not everybody remembers their grandparents, but the elderly people are a valuable part of society, and they deserve to be respected and acknowledged and taken care of. When I look in your eyes, I see the sadness of 1,000